Hey guys, welcome back to Ethony's hashtag 31 Days of Tarot. Today is day 23 and the question is, what is my most sassy tarot deck and what is my most gentle tarot deck? And then I'll tell you why I picked them. They came to me pretty quickly. It wasn't hard for me to decide. The only thing that I really found that I was aware of is that I really believe you can read a deck in any capacity that you want. So any deck could be an all-rounder deck if it feels that way for you. Part of me also recognises that with artwork, some artwork may lend itself to being a certain way over others, and there's really that crossover. I also feel like these decks would very easily be put into these categories, and maybe that then would detract something from them. I don't know. So there was lots going on when I was thinking about this, but as a whole, you can see I've chosen two decks. So I've got my Sassy Tarot deck, which we've got here is the Tarot del Fuego. And the reason that I've chose this as my most sassy tarot deck is when I think of the word sassy, there's a lot that encompasses it for me. I kind of feel like sassy isn't just a deck that's going to give you a bit of a kick up the butt when you need it, but it's also, sassy kind of feels like fiery and amusing and passionate, and all of those things wound up into one little deck. And the Tarot del Fuego for me really delivers that on a visual. And of course, I've said to you guys before, whilst I find myself using many of my decks for many different things, I do allow the artwork to be a part of how I read with particular decks. And so this feels sassy to me artistically, and therefore some of the readings that I do with it will be of that kind of nature. I'm hoping that that makes sense. There's just something about it. It is that fire. Obviously Tarot del Fuego it's in the name, and so it feels like kind of a cliche to have not picked something else, but it's the deck that fits for me. I freaking love this deck. I am all for a laugh, a chuckle and a kick up the butt at the same time, and this definitely feels sassy for me. And for my gentle deck, we have got the gorgeous Animal Wisdom Tarot. This was the one I found more difficult to put into this category, and not because I don't feel it fits, but over the years, or you know, however long this deck's been out, I've heard a lot of people talk about it being very gentle, being very good for children, and none of those things are bad things, but I noticed how well it reads as a kind of a hard hitter. And I guess, as I say, because many of us allow the art to speak to us, I might not necessarily read as sassy as as I would with the Tarot del Fuego. And so in that capacity, the artwork is really gentle, the colours are gentle. One of the reasons that it was this one above all else is because I think that it being animals in itself gives it a gentle capacity. Now, not all animal decks are gentle by any sense of the imagination, but firstly, we're removing it from humans, and not all humans, but many humans, they may find that they have an affinity with animals, or maybe it's just more gentle to see the messages come through from animals as opposed to humans. As I say, I am very aware that that's not the case for everyone. The tones are very, very gentle, but also this animal deck doesn't really depict animal nature. There's no sort of, it's very simple animal behaviours going on, like the stork is flying, the leopard's chilling out. There's one card in this deck which I think is the Ten of Swords, where there's feathers in the animal. Let me find it for you. Okay, so here is the card that I was referring to for the vulture. And at first glance, I didn't even really notice that the feathers were in an animal. And that's what I mean by gentle. This is the most kind of natural animal behaviour in terms of the food chain. I think that's what I'm thinking of, animals attacking other animals and all of the things that animals do. But this deck doesn't really depict that. So you can see the vultures are circling, but there's no blood. I've picked a few more cards to show you what I mean. The Three of Feathers. And I actually really like this depiction because it's not the heart and it opens the Three of Feathers up, although you can see the hearts on their chests. The Five, you can tell that something's gone on here, but again, it's not witnessing it. Here's the Death. And so you can see that it's not just the colour palette, it's not just the fact that it's animals, it's the entire way in which this deck is visually given to you. And so decks like the Animal Totem Tarot, no, that's not necessarily what I would refer to as a gentle deck just because it's animals. But I think that the Animal Wisdom Tarot, this one, it kind of covers that whole package. If you want a gentle reading, then the imagery is not going to take you to necessarily a darker or an uncomfortable or an aggressive kind of place. You can therefore read with it gently, with ease. I could still do a gentle message with the Tarot del Fuego, but the imagery is sometimes not always going to blend with that as seamlessly. I hope that my rambling made sense. For me, I don't tend to categorise my decks too much, but then I do understand how we each experience art, and it's totally subjective as well, so you may look at those two decks and disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Do get involved. Let me know what deck that you have that's the sassiest or the most gentle, and I will catch you again tomorrow for day 24.